Ladies and gentlemen, 88 Rising is currently breaking boundaries in the US market, providing more visibility and enhancing their reach in the US market. But we believe they can do so much more. Good afternoon from Team Monash from Malaysia. I'm Sean, and today, alongside my teammates Lily, Abhishek, and Singli, we'll be providing a solution on this case. So this is our table of connect for the presentation. I'm doing the company overview, followed by Abhishek's analysis. He will lead it on to Lily and my solution, followed by Singli's implementation and financial analysis, followed by a conclusion. So, what is 88 Rising? 88 Rising is an arbiter of Asian culture via various forms of media like YouTube and festivals and so much more. They are primarily a record label focusing on hybrid management, with their key services being video production and marketing. This leads to our two main key issues of this case for 88 Rising. Number one, should they stay as a niche player and stick with their unique and strong brand image, or should they diversify the business, risking diluting their brand image? I'll now pass on to Abhishek for the analysis.
Thank you, Sean. So first, let's go over the SWOT analysis, which we have prepared for 88 Rising. Starting with 88 Rising's strengths, we observe that 88 Rising has successfully positioned itself as the arbiter of Asian cool in the music industry. With a roster full of talented artists, they have gained recognition and popularity, resonating with millions of fans worldwide. Secondly, the CEO of 88 Rising, Sean Miyashiro, possesses a deep cultural understanding of the young Asian American community. This cultural understanding enables the company to effectively connect with its target audience and create content that resonates deeply. Now, let's address the weaknesses. 88 Rising has fewer than 200 employees, which limits its operational capacity and resources when compared to other major record labels. This small size can pose challenges for scaling up their business. Secondly, the operations of 88 Rising rely heavily on the inclinations and acumen of Sean Miyashiro. While his expertise has been instrumental to the company's success, it also presents a challenge for long-term growth and scalability of the business. Moving on to the opportunities. The Asian American population is projected to grow consistently, providing a large potential fan base for 88 Rising's music as well as cultural content. Secondly, the rising influence of Asian culture in the global entertainment industry opens doors for 88 Rising to further expand its reach. Thirdly, there are opportunities for 88 Rising to form strategic partnerships with brands, media platforms, and other entities that share similar vision and target audience. Now, let's address the threats. The launch of sub-labels by major record companies targeting the Asian market possesses a threat to 88 Rising's competitive position. Secondly, as artists gain recognition and attract attention from larger record labels, there is a risk of losing key artists to competitors. Major labels may entice artists with lucrative contracts, higher visibility, and access to a wide range of opportunities. Now, let us focus on the key issues which we have identified from the case. First, we bring our attention to the key statistics which we have identified for the niche Asian market. Niche markets allow for more targeted marketing and tailored content, which resonates deeply with specific audiences, leading to higher consumer engagement. A study conducted by Google found that 63% of consumers feel more positive about a brand when it delivers personalized content. Secondly, niche markets foster a sense of community and identity, leading to increased consumer loyalty. A report by Bain reveals that increasing customer retention rates by 5% can increase profits by 25 to 95%. By specializing in the Asian niche market, 88 Rising can build a strong and loyal consumer base that appreciates its unique offerings and cultural representation. Thirdly, the Asian population in the US is rapidly growing. According to the US Census Bureau, Asian Americans were the fastest growing racial or ethnic group in the US between 2000 and 2019, with a growth rate of 81%. Based on these statistics and insights, it is advantageous for 88 Rising to continue specializing in the niche Asian market. This market offers higher customer loyalty, growth potential within the Asian population in the US, and limited competition from major labels. By staying focused on this niche, 88 Rising can solidify its brand presence and maintain a strong connection with its target audience. Now that we have looked into the niche Asian market, our second key point is regarding the issue of major labels and should 88 Rising be worried. In 2021, major record labels like Warner and Sony introduced sub-labels like Off Mute and Asiatic Records, which has led to the launch of specifically targeting the Asian markets, which demonstrates their intention to compete directly in the same niche where 88 Rising operates. These major labels can offer substantial marketing budgets, promotional campaigns, and industry connections, which can potentially attract and sway both emerging as well as established Asian artists. Having understood this issue, now let's look into the USP of 88 Rising, which enables it to stay competitive over the major labels. Firstly, 88 Rising has a distinct advantage due to its Asian CEO. who possesses deep cultural understanding and first-hand knowledge of the Asian music market. This understanding allows 88 Rising to authentically connect with and represent Asian artists and culture, resonating with the target audience and establishing credibility within the community. The cultural authenticity and representation offered by 88 Rising differentiates them from major labels and which may lack a similar level of cultural understanding. Secondly, unlike major labels that primarily focus on individual artists and brands, 88 Rising strategically emphasizes and builds its brand as a whole. By nurturing and promoting the 88 Rising brand, the company creates a strong association with its unique blend of Asian music, culture, and identity. This can be seen with their massive YouTube presence of 6 million plus subscribers. Now that we have discussed the issues as well as the competitive advantage of 88 Rising, let's look into the next key point of ours. Lately, there has been a rapid growth of popularity among Asian artists. For an example, K-pop has experienced significant growth in popularity in the US market over the past decade. According to Nielsen's 2020 year-end report, K-pop album sales in the US increased by 77% from 2019 to 2020. This indicates a strong interest and demand for Asian music and artists among US audiences and definitely represents a significant opportunity which labels like 88 Rising can and should capitalize on. So just to summarize all our key issues up till now, we have identified with sufficient evidence that 88 Rising should continue to operate in the niche Asian market, followed by the Asian cool genre of music. And this is complemented by strong opportunity in the form of the Asian music exploding in popularity in the USA. However, there are a few other issues which we must consider. This includes the small size of 88 Rising, as well as the over-reliance on their CEO. These issues will definitely also play a part in their competition against major labels. And we will need to address these in our solution. And for this, I will pass it over to my teammate, Lily.
All right, so now that we've taken a look at the key issues of this analysis, let's take a look at a proposed solution. So what we're proposing here is to actually double down on the niche market that 88 Rising is already very successful in by positioning itself as 88 Ventures, being the trusted partner for Asian artists for the US market penetration. So this solution builds on two key features. Firstly, we'll be taking a look at market support for Asian artists who are looking to penetrate the USA, and this will be able to open a portal for new talents via networks and collaborations with the talent agencies that these Asian artists are part in. So to really understand the solution, let's talk about the first core idea that this solution is built upon, which is the capitalization of the strong understanding of the US market. So to really understand this, let's take a look at a previous success story of 88 Rising. So this example builds on Chris Wu, who has tried to penetrate the US market in 2017. So he promoted his music via niche hip-hop oriented outlets such as XXL, as opposed to mainstream media outlets such as Good Morning America, despite the fact that it garners really high views, up to 4 million viewers. So this is because 88 Rising strongly understood both the US landscape as well as the unique selling point of the Asian artist, who is more focused on hip-hop and rap rather than the mainstream liking of the general population. So this is something that's not easily replicable by other companies, because you can see over here that statistics show that it costs up to $4.5 billion annually just to nurture and market record label talents. So this means that there's not much opportunities for failure in this case, and seeing as 88 Rising has such a strong understanding of the market that they're able to do this successfully, this is not something that other firms can easily do for their companies as well. Another core idea that we're going to build upon is 88's successful mixed media platform. So we can see over here that 88 Rising has a lot of platforms that they leverage to promote and increase the exposure of their artists. So two prominent examples that we can see over here is firstly from their digital medium, such as the YouTube channel, which garners over 30 million monthly views. So this is a very important statistic, considering that 47% of new music is actually discovered via YouTube. Another thing we can take a look at is their physical platform. So a very good example would be its Head in the Clouds Music Festival, which garnered at least 20,000 attendees in the past few years. So leveraging the success of these proven mixed media platforms, such as for the case of Joji, where it promoted via YouTube and also through its festivals, 88 Rising can leverage this as a key selling point for its partnerships for Asian artists who are looking to penetrate the US. So now that we've taken a look at these two key values, let's really understand how this will benefit Asian artists in the future. And to really understand this, let's take a look at a failure of a previous artist who tried to enter the US. And this person is actually CL, who's a very prominent K-pop artist and who also belongs to one of the largest South Korean agencies in South Korea, which is YG Entertainment. So you can see over here that there was a great misalignment in branding when she tried to penetrate the US market. CL is well known for her fusion of hip hop and rap when it comes to her music, But when she decided to enter the US, she actually appeared on mainstream shows such as The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, which failed to showcase her unique branding and her unique music. So clearly it ended up that her debut in the US was a great flop. And in this case, if 88 Rising was able to step in, they could have definitely provided her with more niche treatment, such as allowing her to appear on hip-hop oriented media outlets, such as in the case of Chris Wu, and this could have maximized her chances of success in penetrating the US. So now that we've understood the clear value proposition of our solution, let me pass it on to my teammate Sean to explain a bit about the implementation of this solution.
Thank you, Lily. So let's dive deeper as to how our solution will work. First of all, our solution is primarily focused on CE countries with artists and groups with music labels under them. This approach allows 88 Rising to leverage the expertise and local connections of these music labels to identify emerging artists with potential for international success. Furthermore, to identify artists or groups with potential in the US market, 88 Rising can conduct market research, paying very close attention to successful potential artists. There will also be an emphasis on artists that align with the Asian cool concept. Where, for example, G-Idol, a prominent K-pop group, struggled to penetrate the US market on their own. By partnering with 88 Rising as an intermediary, they could have reached specialized marketing initiatives. For example, 88 Rising could have guided G-Idol through market entry processes and connected them with musical executives in the US. Furthermore, our partnership is primarily focused on increasing the artist's visibility. The initial partnership duration is set at 1 year, providing a dedicated time frame for focused efforts to increase the artist's visibility, with the option to renew the partnership based on performance and mutual satisfaction at the end of the term. This partnership will also be particularly attractive to labels seeking to establish an artist's global presence, as collaborating with 88 Rising provides access to their international network, fan base, and promotional opportunities, enabling broader exposure to the artist. Finally, we propose a profit sharing model of 70-30, whereby 30% of the profits will go to 88 Rising and the remaining 70% to the labels. This model applies to sales generated in the USA, including streaming sales and those of others. And once again, this unique partnership we propose can be renewed. Furthermore, we want to leverage on the company's talent pool as well. As mentioned in the case, 88 Rising has a limited amount of labor to expand. For instance, they only have less than 200 employees and most of them are allocated multiple tasks. This shows that there is no capacity to sustain the success of partner brands, especially if there are multiple, as 88 Rising like to have the maximum amount of revenue they can generate from this solution. Therefore, we want to leverage on the partnership with brands. Brands can provide additional labor such as implementing a marketing and HR team to 88 Rising as well, assisting 88 Rising and providing valuable support without imposing too much stress and reliance on them. Therefore, this creates mutual benefits as it helps contribute to the overall growth of the partner and 88 Rising, further reducing the CEO reliance. Moving on, we have identified 3 implementation timelines over here, of which there will be 3 quarters, focusing on a 1-year implementation timeline, of which we believe is very feasible for 88 Rising given their very robust foundation. In quarter 1 for implementation timeline, we plan to focus on partnership formation, where we will identify potential partners via market research and initiate the contracts. In quarter 2 and beyond, we will have market entry support, whereby there will be localization and marketing focused on promoting via mixed media like YouTube and the festivals, as mentioned by Lily. And furthermore, we want to leverage on the talent sharing, as mentioned in the previous slide, to leverage on the labor and to fully propel the artist. And finally, 3 months and beyond, we want to increase the visibility and improve the profit sharing model by increasing visibility and continue our promotion. Therefore, we want to leverage on this success and further scale and expand this initiative in the future. We have identified 3 main risks and the mitigation for them. The first one being artist retention. Artists like Joji may fear leaving the company to other labels, and therefore to mitigate this risk, we believe the most effective way is to retain the artists is to ensure our contracts are both competitive and flexible. A significant reason artists migrate to other labels is due to financial incentives that these other labels can provide. Therefore, we want to use the additional revenue gained from this solution to fund this. Next, we also have the risk of over-dependence on a few channels. Our solution emphasizes on YouTube and festivals. However, we can mitigate this by further diversifying the platform, such as using other platforms like TikTok, for example, to cater to the younger audience and to provide more visibility for the artist. And lastly, there may also be artists from the labels side, of which we want to showcase successful case studies of 88 Rising helping artists to penetrate the US. Additionally, we want to work on fostering a spirit of transparent collaboration with the other brands, involve them in all major decisions made from the artist to increase their visibility and ensure that the artist's priority is always on the forefront. Thank you, and I'll now pass on to Sydney for the financial analysis.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's delve into the financial analysis of our proposed strategies. The cost breakdowns of our strategies consist of several components. The largest portions, accounting for 50% of total cost, is allocated to localizations and marketing. This includes expenses related to tailored marketing campaigns, digital advertising, social media management, public relations, media outreach, and branding efforts aimed at generating awareness and engagement in the US market. Another 50% is dedicated to the cost of digital music distributions and physical distributions, along with royalty payments to our artists and songwriters. Market entry supports, including legal and business advisory services, contract negotiations, strategic planning, and market research accounts for an additional 15% of the cost. He allocates 10% of the cost to technology infrastructures, which involves investments in digital platforms to enhance its rising presence on social media platforms. The remaining 10% is set aside for building and maintaining relationships with influencers, artists, and creative directors. In total, our proposed strategy requires a yearly investment of $3 million US. Moving on to our revenue model, we propose a profit sharing split of 70-30 as mentioned by Sean earlier. Our primary revenue stream is online streaming, and through strategic partnerships, 30% of the profit will be retained by 88 Rising to support the expansion of Asian artists in the US market in both the short and long term. This 30% will also help sustain the company operations and cover its costs. The remaining 70% of the cost will be distributed to the artists, reflecting their contributions and success in penetrating the US market. This profit sharing split aligns with the industry standards and incentivize their involvement to ensure success in the US market. Let's now take a look at the key performance indicators we aim to achieve through these strategic partnerships. By targeting online streaming as our main revenue streams, we anticipate generating up to $4.89 million US by the years of 2027, compared to only $1.6 million if we don't penetrate US markets. We also expect to increase our subscribers on one of the online streaming platforms, YouTube, to 22.9 million by the year 2027. This projection is based on the data from YG Entertainment, one of our competitors with similar subscribers and expansion strategies, who saw significant growth of 20 to 30% in their subscriber counts throughout the years. Taking inspiration from their success, we aim to achieve a similar growth rate in our own subscriber base. It's important to note that all assumptions here are based on the fact that 65% of the revenue generated by media companies in the music industry comes from online streaming, which accounted for $16.9 billion in the year 2021 and is projected to grow to $17.5 billion in the year 2022 in the global recorded mass music market based on the statistics. Currently, 88 Rising has achieved up to $1.3 million US in revenue from only streaming music and has 6.1 million YouTube subscribers in their channels as of the year 2022. That's all from me. I will now hand it back to Sean to conclude the presentation.
Thank you. So, in conclusion of our presentation, especially in the key issues, we are faced with two major ones. Either 88 Rising can stay as a niche player and focus on their brand loyalty, or diversify and risk diluting said brand loyalty. Our solution of 88 Ventures proposes to capitalize on the current loyalty and staying as a niche market. As mentioned in the analysis, we've identified major growth opportunities in the niche market, and we do not believe that it's worth the risk to venture into and diversify and compete into brands like Sony. With our 88 Ventures, we want to scale on the business by doubling down on Asian niche markets and by partnering with other people. And therefore, in the future, this allows to empower Asian artists to expand into US markets and beyond, creating a sustainable success as a niche player for 88 Rising. That is all from us. Thank you.
Thank you, team, for your presentation. We are going to now move to the Q&A. Can we please put the 15 minutes on the screen? Yes. Judges, when you're ready, please fire away.
Thank you very much for your presentation today. You mentioned the yearly investment of $3 million, and at the end, you talk about the revenue projection. I just wanted to know what your expected overall revenue figures are on a yearly basis, just for us to compare what would the profit and loss be actually? Because I think you mentioned this is only 65% of overall revenue. So where's the other 35%? And how does that compare to your yearly investment of 3 million?
Thank you for your question. Yes, our yearly investment will take up to 3 million in total, which covers several cost components, whereas our revenues, can you move on to the KPI slides, please? KPI slides. Yes, thank you. So in terms of our revenue, we only account 65% of the overall revenue because we believe that we are going to target the online streaming platform as one of focus that we are going to generate the revenue from. So the remaining 35% will, of course, goes to other kind of revenue streams, such as the physical distribution of albums, as long as the festival or even events like concerts that the artist can generate from the audience. The reason why we mainly target 65% of the overall revenue from streaming because there is a statistic from the IFPI report, which is International Federal of Phonographic Industry, saying that in the music industry, there are so many revenue generated from the global music market. It comes from the online streaming music, such as using the platform like YouTube, Spotify, or even Joes. So this is how we came across the revenue figure. So when we take a look at the overall revenue figure, 65% only attributes to 1.3 million at the year 2022. So if we look at the overall revenue, it will be around 2 million. And as it progresses to further, there will be 20 to 30% growth along the year up to the year by 2027. So definitely, we in this case, we are taking a blue sky scenario by relying on the fact that by the year 2027, we could at least achieve 4.89 million US dollars in terms of 65% of the overall revenue. So in our opinions, we think that this is a very worth investment for 88 Rising to actually allocate money resources to actually penetrate in the US market, because we do really see the very high potential that by penetrating the US market, we are going to capture at least 65% of the global music market in terms of streaming. As you can see on the statistic that we provided, 16.9 billion of revenue is already can be generated in the various media companies or labels across the world in 2021, and it further grew to 75 billion US dollars in 2022. And this is how we came across the profit and revenue figures.
So essentially loss making in the initial years, right? Because year one would be $2 million, $2 million versus $3 million of investment. So what year are you expecting to achieve break even?
It will be around 3 years onward, which is up to the year 2024, because by looking at the potential revenue stream here, it is only 1.3 million in the year 2022. But if we only look at the 65% of the overall revenue, but on the other hand, if we look at the overall revenue figures that we generated by the 88 Rising as a whole, they can even break even by starting from the year 2023, because like I said earlier, in 2022, if we to actually calculate this do a quick math here, there will be around 2 million US dollars will be generated solely from the overall in the music industry by 88 Rising by penetrating into the US market. So it will be around 1.5 years.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. I wonder if I could just ask a question. You focus very much on the niche solution. I wonder if you could just talk to us about why the diversification option wasn't an option. Why you thought that diversification wouldn't work. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your question. I think I'll answer that. So yeah, we definitely did consider the diversification approach as well. But when we look into the overall scheme of things in the current market, the music industry in the USA, we see the presence of many large competitors like Sony as well as Warner. And we thought that the large presence of them, it'll definitely be difficult to compete with them, especially since our specialty is in Asian music, right? And also, if we were to venture out, we would definitely risk losing our brand presence, which we've already established in a good way. And it would be kind of stepping away from the core values which Sean Miyashiro, the CEO, has raised, which is to promote Asian music, right, and introduce Asian music or into the world, like basically. So I think that was the reason why we decided to go for the niche market and choose not to diversify.
Hi. Thank you for the presentation. If I could ask some question, if you could let me know in terms of your risk analysis, in terms of what three what three things that could go wrong in terms of your plan, and considering that there's higher competition, a lot of your assumption seems to be assume everything stays the same, and generally it doesn't, things changes, and you're the financials assumes that the steady growth, same market, you can penetrate in the same way. What are the areas that could go wrong in terms of your implementation? Maybe 2 or 3 examples. Thank you.
Can we go to, thank you for the question. I think I can take that, please. Can we go to the implementation timeline, please? All right, thank you for your question. So with our solution, we want to essentially capitalize and leverage on A-Rising's already growing expertise in the Asian niche market. So we did consider that there may be other externalities that may happen in the market, and therefore we want to leverage on the fact that, first of all, we have the capabilities to execute in the niche market, as A-Rising already has all of experience with that. And secondly, with the partnerships, we're also planning to leverage on the talent pool from the other brands as well. So we believe from our niche expertise and from those of other brands with their local markets, it'll provide a cumulative experience which will help us navigate the market better.
So you're saying you're going to leverage the talent pool from different labels, and why would they allow something like that?
Thank you for your question. Can we go to the risk mitigation? I mean, the talent pool slide, please. Yep. So essentially, our partnership is built on a mutual benefit, whereby the success of the artists from the labels will also bring success to A-Rising and of the label as well, because once again, they want to penetrate in the US market better. And once again, A-Rising already has a limited amount of labor, so we want to appeal to them and ask for assistance in leveraging their labor as well. And with our combined forces, it'll help us to better penetrate the US market, to increase the sales of the artists and increase the visibility overall. And we believe that through this mutual benefit, it will bring a consensus to both parties that we can leverage on both each other's labors as well.
So in terms of, a lot of the businesses, you always think what's happening 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road. What is the vision? It seems like everything is do the same thing in the US. Even exploring Europe, Middle East. What is the longer term vision to capitalize on changes, or building on what you are already an expert in?
Thank you for your question. I think I can take that as well, please. So with our solution, our plan is, once again, to capitalize on the niche market. We want to accelerate our growth on what we are already really prominent in. So maybe in the future, we can have ideas for future expansions into other countries, but our solution is primarily focused on the US market. Once again, our talent sourcing is now from artists with other labels, of which they already have training as well. And before this, A-Rising had to train the artists and source all of them once again, of which costed a lot of money. So we want to leverage on this lower cost alternative by sourcing already very prominent artists. And we believe that through this initiative, by penetrating to the US market, it can help us to boost our revenue and also our visibility in different markets as well.
Can I ask a follow-up question in terms of your profit sharing model, 30/70, but focusing on the US, right? And you mentioned that obviously streaming is 65% of the revenue, so it's substantial. But streaming by nature is global. So have you accounted the fact that, if streaming actually comes from somewhere overseas other than the US, would the profit sharing model apply?
Yes, thank you for the question. Yes, definitely. If we are going to target the online streaming market, such as by utilizing platforms such as YouTube, I will obviously the I mean, in terms of the revenue model, actually, streaming model would take part of the revenue. So, as you can see from the 30% of the 88 Rising taken up, but 88 Rising in terms of revenue. So definitely we have allocate some of the cost to actually occur in online streaming platform. So we are going to utilize the 30% that we could generate from the profit sharing model to actually cover this kind of cost, because we believe that there might be some cost for us to actually penetrating into the US markets to reach more subscribers, especially in the YouTube channel. So yeah, I hope I answer your question.
May I ask a question, please, on your SWOT analysis? One of the weaknesses that you identified was about the small number of employees. And my question is what you are proposing in this analysis, is that capable of being achieved within that existing resource, or do you believe that that needs to be expanded in any way? I'd appreciate your response to that. And then I have a follow-up question on the second weakness after that, please. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much for your question. Yeah, we definitely did consider this because currently the size of 88 Rising is very small with less than 200 employees. And definitely, if they do want to scale further, they definitely will have to expand. But using our solution, as we plan to collaborate and partner with all the talent agencies, we definitely think that through this collaboration, the number of employees will definitely not increase for 88 Rising, but the manpower for the overall work will, it'll be shared by both 88 Rising as well as the labels. And this is how I think we can expand primarily following the implementation of our solution as of right now.
Okay, thank you. And then on the second weakness, the high dependency on the CEO, you covered that in a couple of slides about dealing with it by leveraging the partner's talent pool. I wonder if you have any observations on the internal governance, the management structures within 88 Rising, whether there's anything there that could help alleviate the high dependency on the CEO, something about the internal management structures. Is there anything there that could help?
I think, thank you for your question. I think I'll take that as well. So what we have understood when we have conducted research is that a lot of the employees, even though they rely on CEO Miyashiro, there's also quite a lot of autonomy within themselves where they are able to make some decisions internally when it comes to managing their artists. So we believe that having there already been a culture of autonomy within the company, we believe that a talent sharing would be able to also continuously allow them to learn through the communication and networking with the talents from other companies, and through that they will be able to build on their skills and expertise and really just double down on the autonomy in the future to reduce the dependency on the CEO when it comes to making important decisions.
It's time for a very quick question and answer again. Any judge with a quick question?
I wanted to ask, obviously we covered in the case study that the other big record labels are also doing sub-brands and trying to target exactly this market and 88 Rising strategy. And, it feels like this presentation is more of the same, but, diversify channels, etc. But how do you think that, or why do you think 88 Rising, based on your strategy, can still withstand those competition from the big labels launching similar strategies?
I think I can take that question as well. Thank you so much for it. I think this is something we've definitely considered, and we also see its high importance. And we can definitely see from the previous cases of success, which we believe can be used as really strong leverage to attract Asian artists, that we have a really strong understanding not only of the US landscape, but also of the Asian nuances and the difficulties and the nuances of Asian American community in the US. So I believe that this strong branding that we've already created would be able to attract future Asian artists to really just come to our brand instead of Sony and like Warner, which is a bit more large scale and a bit less personal when it comes to understanding the Asian community.
Thank you, Lily. Thank you for this answer. And again, right on time, finished. Students, we will now move you to a waiting room. Please be in the waiting room because we can call you back any moment.